Hello there and welcome to Sleep Knowledge. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Sleep is something we all do, yet few of us ever wonder where it came from or why we spend a third of our lives in this mysterious state. Tonight, we're exploring the deep evolutionary story of human sleep, how our ancestors slept, why we dream, and what millions of years of evolution can teach us about rest. If these gentle explorations help you unwind, consider liking and subscribing. It helps others find their way here too. Now, let yourself get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's begin. Sleep is older than humanity itself. Long before humans walked the earth, before primates swung through ancient forests, before mammals scurried beneath dinosaur feet, sleep existed. In fact, sleep may be nearly as old as complex life itself. Scientists have found evidence of sleep-like states in creatures as simple as jellyfish. These ancient organisms, which lack brains entirely, still show rhythmic patterns of activity and rest. They pulse through the water during certain hours, then become still and unresponsive during others. Their tentacles droop, their bodies drift, and during this quiet time, they seem to require more stimulation to respond to their environment. This suggests that sleep, or something very much like it, emerged hundreds of millions of years ago, perhaps even before the Cambrian explosion, when life suddenly diversified into countless forms. But why? What could be so important that evolution would preserve this vulnerable state across nearly every branch of the animal kingdom? The answer, it seems, is that sleep serves fundamental biological processes. Even the simplest creatures need time for cellular repair, for metabolic regulation, for clearing waste products from their tissues. And the most efficient way to do this is to enter a state of reduced activity. As life grew more complex, so did sleep. Fish sleep, though not quite like we do. They enter periods of reduced movement and responsiveness, often hovering in place or resting on the bottom. Some fish even lie on their sides, looking remarkably like they're tucked into bed. Insects sleep too. Fruit flies, for instance, have daily rest periods during which their brains show reduced activity. If you deprive a fruit fly of sleep, it will eventually die, just as a human would. And when given the chance, it will sleep longer to recover, experiencing what scientists call sleep rebound. This tells us something profound. Sleep isn't merely rest. It's a biological necessity, programmed deep into the genetic code of life itself. When the first mammals emerged around 200 million years ago, sleep evolved into something more sophisticated. Mammals developed two distinct types of sleep: slow-wave sleep and rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep. Slow-wave sleep is deep and restorative. During this stage, brain activity slows dramatically. Large, synchronized waves of neural activity wash across the brain like gentle ocean swells. Heart rate drops, breathing becomes slow and regular. The body focuses on physical repair and immune function. REM sleep, by contrast, is electrically active. The brain during REM sleep looks almost awake, firing rapidly and processing information. Yet the body becomes paralyzed, unable to move except for the eyes, which dart back and forth beneath closed lids. This is when most dreaming occurs. Why did mammals evolve this two-stage sleep system? The answer likely relates to their warm-blooded metabolism and complex social behaviors. Mammals needed sleep that could serve multiple functions: physical restoration, memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and perhaps even simulation of threats and opportunities. Early mammals were small, nocturnal creatures living in a world dominated by dinosaurs. They likely slept during the day, hidden in burrows or beneath vegetation, emerging only at night to forage. Their sleep had to be efficient, allowing rapid restoration while remaining alert enough to detect approaching predators. This evolutionary pressure shaped mammalian sleep in ways we still carry today. About 85 million years ago, primates emerged. These tree-dwelling mammals faced unique challenges that would further refine sleep. Living in trees meant that sleeping required careful positioning. A primate that rolled over in its sleep could plummet to the forest floor. This constraint favored sleeping postures that were stable and secure. Watch a monkey sleep, and you'll see it wedged into a tree fork or curled on a branch, its hands and feet gripping firmly even in deep sleep. Some primates sleep sitting upright, their heads nodding forward onto their chests. Others construct sleeping platforms from branches and leaves, creating crude but effective beds high in the canopy. These sleeping arrangements influenced the evolution of primate sleep architecture. Primates tend to have shorter sleep cycles than other mammals, perhaps because waking periodically to adjust position was necessary to avoid falling. They also spend less time in REM sleep compared to many other mammals. During REM, the body's muscles become paralyzed, a dangerous state when you're perched 30 feet above the ground. Natural selection likely favored primates who could cycle through REM quickly and return to the relative safety of non-REM sleep. Interestingly, great apes, gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees, and bonobos construct elaborate sleeping nests each evening. They select appropriate branches, weave them together, and even add soft leaves as bedding. A good nest can take up to 10 minutes to build. This behavior suggests something important. For our closest relatives, sleep quality matters enough to invest time and energy in creating comfortable, secure sleeping spaces. Around 7 million years ago, the human lineage diverged from our common ancestor with chimpanzees. And with that divergence came changes to our sleep. Our earliest human ancestors, species like Sahelanthropus and Ardipithecus, still lived primarily in trees or near them. Their sleep likely resembled that of modern chimps. Relatively short nights spent in nests, with frequent awakenings to adjust position and monitor for threats. But around 4 million years ago, something significant happened. Australopithecines began spending more time on the ground. Species like Australopithecus afarensis, famous for the fossil Lucy, walked upright across African savannas and woodlands. This shift from trees to ground had profound implications for sleep. On the ground, our ancestors faced different predators. Large cats, hyenas, and other carnivores hunted at night. Unlike tree branches, the ground offered no inherent protection. Our ancestors had to find other ways to sleep safely. They likely slept in groups, huddled together for warmth and protection. Social bonds became intertwined with sleep. Sleeping near trusted companions provided security. The presence of others meant that someone might wake if danger approached. This social sleeping pattern persists in human cultures around the world, even today. In many traditional societies, families sleep together in communal spaces. The Western practice of isolated bedrooms is, evolutionarily speaking, quite unusual. Around 2 million years ago, early members of our genus Homo emerged. Homo habilis and later Homo erectus had larger brains than their Australopithecine ancestors. These larger brains required more energy and longer periods of development. Sleep plays a crucial role in brain development. During sleep, the brain prunes unnecessary neural connections and strengthens important ones. It consolidates memories, integrating new experiences with existing knowledge. For species with increasingly complex brains, quality sleep became even more essential. Homo erectus may have been the first human ancestor to sleep in patterns resembling our own. These were the first hominins to migrate out of Africa, spreading across Asia and Europe. They used fire, crafted sophisticated tools, and lived in social groups with complex relationships. Fire changed everything. Imagine being an early human, say 500,000 years ago. The sun has set, and the African landscape has transformed. Nocturnal predators emerge, the temperature drops, Darkness presses in from all sides, but your group has fire. The flames push back the night, creating a circle of warmth and light. Predators keep their distance, their eyes reflecting orange in the darkness but coming no closer. The fire's heat allows you to relax, muscles tensed against the cold. Its light extends the day, providing time for social interaction, tool-making, storytelling. Fire made sleep safer. With fire, early humans could sleep on the ground without constantly waking to threats. They could sleep more deeply, allowing longer periods of restorative slow-wave sleep and dream-filled REM sleep. Fire also extended the waking day. Early humans could now engage in social activities after dark, talking, planning, teaching. This extra waking time may have facilitated the development of language and culture. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer groups who still use fire as their primary evening light source show interesting sleep patterns. They don't go to sleep immediately after dark. Instead, they remain awake for several hours around the fire, engaging in social activities. Then they sleep for a period, wake in the middle of the night for an hour or two, and sleep again until dawn. This pattern, known as segmented or biphasic sleep, may have been the norm for most of human evolution. In medieval Europe, historical records describe first sleep and second sleep. People would sleep for several hours after dark, wake for an hour or two around midnight, during which they might pray, tend the fire, talk with family, or engage in intimacy, and then return to sleep until morning. This practice disappeared in industrial societies with the advent of artificial lighting, but it may represent our species' natural sleep architecture, shaped by hundreds of thousands of years sleeping under the influence of fire's rhythm. The human brain evolved to be exceptionally large and complex. An adult human brain weighs about 3 pounds and contains roughly 86 billion neurons, each forming thousands of connections with other neurons. This creates a network of staggering complexity. Maintaining this network requires substantial resources. The brain consumes about 20% of the body's energy, despite representing only 2% of body weight, and much of the brain's maintenance work happens during sleep. During slow-wave sleep, the brain's glymphatic system activates. This is a waste clearance mechanism discovered only in the past decade or so. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through the brain, washing away metabolic waste products that accumulated during waking hours. Among these waste products is a protein called beta amyloid. During waking, neurons produce beta amyloid as a byproduct of normal activity. If allowed to accumulate, it forms plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. Sleep clears it away. This suggests that one reason humans need substantial sleep is simply to maintain our oversized brains. The bigger the brain, the more maintenance required, and the more essential sleep becomes. REM sleep, meanwhile, serves different functions. During REM, the brain processes emotions, consolidates memories, and may even solve problems. Studies show that people often perform better on complex tasks after a night of sleep, particularly if that sleep included substantial REM. The sleeping brain seems to continue working on problems, finding connections that weren't obvious during waking hours. There's a reason we say sleep on it. The phrase captures an intuitive understanding that sleep can bring clarity and insight, and evolution has shaped our brains to take advantage of this offline processing time. Dreaming, that strange phenomenon that occurs primarily during REM sleep, has puzzled humans throughout history. Ancient cultures developed elaborate systems for interpreting dreams, believing they carried messages from gods or spirits. From an evolutionary perspective, dreams may serve several functions. One theory suggests that dreams are a form of threat simulation. During REM sleep, the brain generates scenarios, often threatening or challenging ones, and simulates responses to them. This might allow us to rehearse reactions to dangers without the risk of actually encountering those dangers. Notice that many dreams involve threats, being chased, falling, discovering you're unprepared for an important task. These themes may reflect ancestral challenges that shaped our psychology. Another theory proposes that dreams help consolidate emotional memories. The brain during REM processes the emotional content of experiences, integrating them into long-term memory while reducing their emotional intensity. This might explain why we often dream about emotionally significant events and why those events feel less overwhelming after we've slept. A third possibility is that dreams are simply a byproduct of the brain's memory consolidation process. As the sleeping brain sorts through the day's experiences, random activation of memories creates the strange, disjointed narratives we experience as dreams. The truth likely involves all these functions and more. Evolution rarely creates single-purpose mechanisms. Sleep and dreaming serve multiple roles, shaped by millions of years of selective pressure. Human babies sleep very differently from adults. A newborn sleeps 16 to 18 hours per day, cycling between sleep and wakefulness every few hours. And roughly 50% of infant sleep is REM sleep, compared to about 20 to 25% in adults. This abundance of REM sleep likely supports rapid brain development. During the first years of life, the human brain grows explosively, forming neural connections at an astounding rate. A 2-year-old has more synapses connections between neurons than an adult. Sleep, and particularly REM sleep, facilitates this development. The sleeping infant brain is actively building itself, pruning weak connections and strengthening important ones, integrating sensory experiences and motor patterns. As children grow, their sleep patterns gradually shift toward the adult pattern. By adolescence, teenagers need about 9 hours of sleep per night. Though their natural circadian rhythm shifts later, they become night owls, naturally inclined to stay up late and sleep late. This shift may have evolutionary roots in ancestral groups. Having some individuals naturally alert later at night could have provided protection against predators. Different age groups maintaining different sleep schedules might have ensured that someone was always partially awake to sound the alarm if needed. Modern society often conflicts with these natural patterns, forcing teenagers to wake early for school despite their biological inclination to sleep later. This chronic sleep deprivation during a critical developmental period may have consequences we're only beginning to understand. Throughout human evolution, sleep and social bonds have been intertwined. Humans are intensely social creatures. We evolved in groups, relying on each other for protection, food acquisition, child care, and knowledge transmission. Sleeping together, sharing a sleeping space with trusted others reinforced these social bonds. It required trust. While asleep, you're vulnerable. Sleeping near someone signals that you trust them not to harm you while you're defenseless. In many cultures, co-sleeping remains the norm. Parents sleep with infants and young children. Extended families share sleeping spaces. Even unrelated community members might sleep in close proximity. The Western practice of separate bedrooms for each family member is actually quite recent and culturally specific. For most of human history, in most human societies, people slept in groups. This social sleeping pattern may explain why many people sleep better when not alone. The presence of a trusted person nearby can reduce anxiety and promote deeper sleep. Even a pet in the bedroom can provide this comfort. Evolution shaped us to feel secure sleeping among our social group. Sleeping alone, isolated behind closed doors, runs counter to hundreds of thousands of years of human experience. Modern humans sleep less than our ancestors likely did. Contemporary Western adults average about 7 hours per night, though individual needs vary. Many people sleep even less, chronically deprived due to work schedules, artificial lighting, or sleep disorders. Studies of traditional hunter-gatherer societies provide insight into ancestral sleep patterns. The Hadza of Tanzania, the San people of the Kalahari, and other groups living without electricity show consistent patterns. They typically sleep between 6 and 7 hours per night, not dramatically different from modern industrialized populations. However, They also nap during the day when opportunities arise, and their sleep is more flexible, adjusting to seasonal changes in daylight and temperature. Interestingly, these groups don't report the epidemic of sleep problems common in industrial societies. Insomnia is relatively rare. Sleep quality is generally good. What accounts for this difference? Several factors likely contribute. Traditional societies live in sync with natural light cycles. They get substantial sunlight exposure during the day, which helps regulate circadian rhythms. After dark, they have only firelight, which is dim and warm-toned, not suppressing melatonin production the way bright artificial light does. They engage in substantial physical activity throughout the day, which promotes sleep. They have strong social bonds and communal sleeping arrangements, which reduce anxiety. And they lack many modern stressors, financial pressures, information overload, constant connectivity. Their sleep, while not dramatically longer than ours, may be of higher quality. The modern world presents unique challenges to sleep. Artificial lighting extends the day indefinitely. Smartphones and screens emit blue light that tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime. Climate control eliminates the natural temperature drop that signals bedtime. Caffeine and other stimulants override natural fatigue. Our Stone Age brains, evolved for ancestral environments, must navigate these novel conditions. Many common sleep problems may arise from this mismatch between our evolutionary heritage and modern circumstances. Our bodies expect to sleep in sync with the sun, in cool, dark spaces, surrounded by trusted companions. Instead, we often sleep alone, in rooms illuminated by LEDs, after spending the evening staring at glowing screens. Understanding this evolutionary context doesn't solve all sleep problems, but it can inform solutions. Dimming lights in the evening, reducing screen time before bed, cooling the bedroom, and maintaining consistent sleep schedules all work with our evolved biology rather than against it. Circadian rhythms, the internal biological clocks that regulate sleep-wake cycles, exist in nearly all organisms, from single-celled algae to humans. These rhythms are generated by genes, molecular mechanisms that cycle roughly every 24 hours, even in the absence of external time cues. In humans, the master circadian clock resides in a region of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, located in the hypothalamus, just above where the optic nerves cross. This tiny cluster of about 20,000 neurons receives input directly from the eyes, allowing it to synchronize with the external light-dark cycle. When light strikes the retina, specialized cells called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells send signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This resets the circadian clock, aligning internal time with external time. The clock then sends signals throughout the body, coordinating various physiological processes. Body temperature follows the circadian rhythm, dropping in the evening and reaching its slowest point in the early morning hours. Hormone levels fluctuate. Melatonin rises in the evening to promote sleep. Cortisol peaks in the morning to support wakefulness. These rhythms evolve to align behavior with the predictable cycle of day and night, being active during the day when light allows vision and most food sources are available, and resting at night when darkness limits activity and conserves energy, provided survival advantages. Interestingly, the human circadian period is actually slightly longer than 24 hours, averaging about 24 hours and 15 minutes. Without external time cues, humans will gradually drift later each day, staying up a bit later and waking a bit later. This slight mismatch requires daily resetting via light exposure. Morning sunlight is particularly effective at resetting the clock, helping ensure we don't drift too far from the solar day. Different individuals have different chronotypes, natural preferences for timing of sleep and waking. Some people are larks, naturally inclined to wake early and feel most alert in the morning. Others are owls, preferring late bedtimes and peak alertness in the evening. These differences have genetic components. Specific gene variants influence circadian period length and sleep timing preferences, and there may be evolutionary advantages to having a variety of chronotypes within a population. In an ancestral group, having some early risers and some night owls would mean that at almost any time, someone was relatively alert. This could have provided protection against nocturnal threats and opportunities for hunting, gathering, or social interaction across different times of day. Modern society often favors larks. Standard work and school schedules require early rising, which aligns well with morning chronotypes, but conflicts with evening chronotypes. This social jet lag, the mismatch between biological time and social time, can contribute to chronic sleep deprivation and associated health problems. Sleep pressure builds during waking hours through the accumulation of adenosine, a byproduct of neural activity. The longer you stay awake, the more adenosine accumulates in the brain, creating an increasing drive for sleep. When you finally sleep, adenosine levels drop. The brain clears it away, reducing sleep pressure and allowing you to wake refreshed. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors. It doesn't actually provide energy or eliminate the need for sleep. It simply prevents adenosine from signaling fatigue. The adenosine continues accumulating. You just don't feel it until the caffeine wears off, at which point sleep pressure returns with a vengeance. This two-process model of sleep regulation, circadian rhythm, and sleep pressure explains much about human sleep patterns. We feel sleepy when circadian signals indicate it's nighttime and sleep pressure is high. We wake when circadian signals indicate morning and sleep pressure has decreased. Disrupting either process impairs sleep. Jet lag occurs when circadian rhythms are misaligned with local time. Shift work forces activity during times when the body expects sleep. Both can lead to chronic sleep deprivation and health consequences. Our ancestors didn't face these challenges. The sun rose and set predictably. Sleep pressure built during waking hours and was relieved during sleep. Circadian rhythms remained in sync with the environment. The modern world, with its artificial lighting and global connectivity, allows us to override these ancient regulatory mechanisms, but doing so comes at a cost. Sleep architecture, the structure of sleep across the night, follows a predictable pattern in healthy adults. The night typically begins with a descent into progressively deeper non-REM sleep. Stage 1 is the transition from waking to sleep, lasting only a few minutes. Brainwaves slow, muscle tone decreases. The sleeper can still be easily awakened. Stage 2 is light sleep, comprising about 50% of total sleep time. Brainwaves slow further, punctuated by brief bursts of activity called sleep spindles and larger waves called K-complexes. These patterns may be involved in memory consolidation and protecting sleep from disruption. Stages 3 and 4, sometimes grouped together as slow-wave sleep, represent the deepest sleep. Large, slow delta waves dominate the EEG. Heart rate and breathing are at their slowest. Blood pressure drops. Growth hormone is released. This is the most restorative sleep when the body focuses on physical repair. After about 90 minutes, the first REM period begins. This initial REM is brief, perhaps 5 to 10 minutes. Then the cycle repeats, back through light sleep into slow-wave sleep, then REM again. As the night progresses, the composition of these cycles changes. Slow-wave sleep becomes less prominent. REM periods become longer. The final REM period before morning might last up to an hour. This architecture ensures that both types of sleep get adequate representation. Early night is dominated by deep, restorative, slow-wave sleep. Late night emphasizes REM sleep with its memory consolidation and emotional processing. Disrupting this architecture by waking frequently, sleeping too little, or having sleep disorders impairs the restorative functions of sleep. You might get some sleep, but not the right sleep. Human evolution occurred primarily in equatorial and sub-Saharan Africa, regions where day length varies little across seasons. Days are roughly 12 hours long year-round, and the transition between day and night is rapid. Dawn and dusk are brief. This may explain why humans can struggle with extreme seasonal changes in day length. In far northern or southern latitudes, summer days can last 20 hours or more, while winter days may have only a few hours of sunlight. These extreme light conditions can disrupt circadian rhythms. Populations living in these regions have developed cultural practices to cope siestas during bright summer nights, extra lighting during dark winter days. But the fundamental biology remains calibrated for equatorial conditions. This is another example of the mismatch between our evolutionary heritage and the diverse environments humans now inhabit. As humans migrated out of Africa, beginning about 70,000 years ago, they encountered new challenges: different climates, different day lengths, different predators, different food sources. Each new environment required adaptations. Some of these adaptations involve sleep. In colder climates, sleeping warmly became essential. Humans developed clothing, shelters, and controlled fire use to maintain body temperature during sleep. The need to tend fires through the night may have reinforced patterns of segmented sleep, with someone waking periodically to add fuel. In regions with seasonal food scarcity, sleep patterns might have shifted to conserve energy during lean times. Some traditional Arctic peoples sleep more during the dark winter months when food is scarce and less during the bright summer when resources are abundant. Cultural practices around sleep diversified. Some cultures developed elaborate sleeping platforms or beds. Others continued sleeping on the ground but used furs, mats, or other materials for insulation and comfort. Despite this diversity, certain patterns remain universal. All human cultures recognize sleep as essential. All have some form of bedtime rituals or sleep hygiene practices. All understand that inadequate sleep impairs function. This universality points to sleep's deep evolutionary roots. It's not a cultural invention, but a biological necessity, shared across our species. Language and sleep may be connected in ways we're only beginning to understand. Dreams often include language, conversations, narrations, internal monologues, and sleep, particularly REM sleep, plays a role in language learning and memory consolidation. Studies show that people learning a new language or new vocabulary remember significantly more after a night of sleep, particularly if that sleep includes substantial REM. The sleeping brain appears to rehearse and consolidate new linguistic information. This may have implications for human evolution. As language became increasingly important in human societies for teaching, coordinating activities, transmitting culture, sleep's role in language processing might have become more crucial. Humans are the most extensively verbal species on the planet. We use language not just for immediate communication, but for abstract thought, storytelling, planning, and cultural transmission. And we sleep more than most primates, with more REM sleep. Perhaps these facts are connected. As our ancestors developed more complex language, selective pressure increased for sleep patterns that effectively consolidated and integrated linguistic information. This is speculative, but it's worth considering. Sleep and cognition evolved together, each shaping the other over millions of years. Humans are not the only animals who use tools or the only ones with complex social structures, but we are unique in the extent to which we rely on cultural transmission, passing knowledge from one generation to the next through teaching and learning. Sleep supports this cultural transmission. Skills practiced during the day are consolidated during sleep. Complex motor patterns like tool-making or hunting techniques are refined during offline processing. Information learned through observation or instruction is integrated into memory. Without adequate sleep, learning and skill acquisition are impaired. Students deprived of sleep struggle to retain new information. Athletes who don't sleep well show reduced motor learning. Throughout human evolution, individuals who slept well and thus learned effectively would have had advantages. They would acquire skills more readily, remember important information, and make better decisions. Over thousands of generations, this could have shaped human sleep to optimize learning and cultural transmission. Sleep disorders, while common today, likely existed in ancestral populations as well. Some conditions, like sleep apnea or restless leg syndrome, have clear genetic components and appear across diverse populations. However, the prevalence and impact of sleep disorders may have been different in ancestral environments. Sleep apnea, for instance, is exacerbated by obesity, sleeping on the back, and sedentary lifestyles, all more common in modern populations. Hunter-gatherers, with their lean body composition and active lifestyles, might have experienced less severe apnea even if they had the same genetic predispositions. Insomnia often stems from stress, anxiety, and circadian rhythm disruption. Ancestral humans certainly experienced stress and anxiety, but perhaps in different patterns. Acute stress from immediate threats might have had less impact on chronic sleep quality than the persistent, low-grade stress common in modern life. Shift work sleep disorder, by definition, couldn't have existed before industrial work schedules. Delayed sleep phase disorder might have been less problematic when social obligations didn't require early rising. This suggests that many modern sleep problems arise not from defects in our sleep systems, but from mismatches between our evolved biology and contemporary environments. Understanding this can shift perspectives on sleep disorders. Rather than viewing insomnia as purely a medical problem requiring pharmaceutical intervention, we might also consider it a natural response to unnatural conditions. Treating sleep disorders then becomes not just about fixing the individual, but about aligning lifestyle with biology. Sleep and immunity are intimately connected. During sleep, the immune system produces cytokines, proteins that help fight infection and inflammation. Sleep deprivation reduces the production of these protective proteins and impairs the function of immune cells. People who are sleep deprived are more susceptible to infections. They're more likely to catch a cold after exposure to a virus. They produce fewer antibodies in response to vaccination. From an evolutionary perspective, this connection makes sense. An animal that's fighting off an infection benefits from entering a state that conserves energy and optimizes immune function. Sleep provides exactly that. When you're sick, you feel tired and sleep more. This isn't just because illness is exhausting, it's an adaptive response. Your body is directing resources toward fighting the infection, and sleep facilitates that fight. Ancestral humans who responded to illness with increased sleep would have had survival advantages. They would clear infections more effectively and be less likely to die from disease. This is why adequate sleep remains one of the best preventive health measures we have. It's not a luxury or indulgence, it's a fundamental component of immune function, shaped by millions of years of evolution. Aging affects sleep in predictable ways. Older adults often sleep less, wake more frequently during the night, and spend less time in deep, slow-wave sleep. They're also more likely to wake very early in the morning. These changes likely reflect alterations in the brain's sleep regulation systems. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, which controls circadian rhythms, becomes less robust with age. Neurons die, connections weaken. As a result, circadian signals become less strong and less consistent. Older adults also produce less melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep. They may have altered sensitivity to light, requiring brighter light to reset circadian rhythms. From an evolutionary perspective, aging and sleep present an interesting puzzle. Why would sleep quality decline with age? One possibility is that once individuals pass reproductive age and their children are independent, there's less selective pressure to maintain optimal sleep. Natural selection acts most strongly on traits that affect reproductive success. Sleep quality in old age has minimal impact on how many offspring an individual leaves behind. However, older adults in ancestral societies played important roles: grandparenting, teaching, wisdom keeping. Their contributions to group success could still influence the survival of their genes through their children and grandchildren. Perhaps changes in sleep patterns with age served functions in these contexts. Older adults who woke early and slept lightly might have been well suited to tending morning fires, watching for threats while others slept, or rising early to forage. Alternatively, declining sleep quality might simply be a byproduct of other aging processes. Sleep systems, like all biological systems, accumulate damage over time. The brain ages, and with it, sleep regulation becomes less precise. Understanding these age-related changes can help set realistic expectations. Older adults may not need to sleep 8 hours straight through the night. Adapting schedules to accommodate earlier waking, incorporating naps, and focusing on sleep quality rather than duration might be more appropriate goals. Throughout history, humans have manipulated sleep for various purposes. Shamans and spiritual practitioners have used sleep deprivation to induce altered states of consciousness. Warriors preparing for battle might deprive themselves of sleep to heighten alertness, at least temporarily. Various cultures developed substances that affect sleep and waking. Caffeine from coffee, tea, and other plants has been used for centuries to combat fatigue. Alcohol, while initially sedating, actually disrupts sleep architecture and is used in many cultures as a social lubricant despite its negative effects on sleep quality. Some plants contain compounds that promote sleep. Valerian root, chamomile, passion flower, and others have long histories of use as sleep aids in traditional medicine. These practices suggest that humans have long recognized sleep as something that could be modified and manipulated. We've sought ways to sleep better, wake more effectively, and adjust sleep to fit our needs. Modern pharmaceuticals represent a continuation of this tradition, though with more powerful and targeted effects. Sleeping pills, stimulants, and medications for sleep disorders are widely prescribed. However, these medications often work by overriding or disrupting natural sleep regulation rather than supporting it. They may induce a sleep-like state, but not natural sleep with its full complement of restorative functions. This is why non-pharmaceutical approaches to sleep hygiene, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, light exposure management are increasingly emphasized. These work with evolved sleep systems rather than against them. Dreams have fascinated humans throughout history. Ancient Egyptians believed dreams carried messages from the gods and kept dream books to interpret their meanings. Aboriginal Australians have dreamtime, a complex spiritual concept in which the world was created and ancestors exist. Many cultures have practices of lucid dreaming, becoming aware within dreams and potentially controlling them. From a scientific perspective, dreaming likely serves multiple functions, as mentioned earlier, but dreams also reveal something about how our minds work. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex, the brain region involved in logical reasoning and self-awareness, is less active. Meanwhile, emotional centers and sensory areas show high activity. This creates the characteristic quality of dreams, emotionally vivid, sensory-rich, but often illogical. We accept bizarre impossibilities in dreams that we would immediately recognize as absurd when awake. We fly, breathe underwater, encounter deceased relatives, or exist simultaneously in multiple places. The dreaming brain doesn't apply the same reality testing that the waking brain does. This might be adaptive. If dreams serve to simulate scenarios and practice responses, imposing logical constraints might limit their usefulness. A dream doesn't need to be realistic to provide valuable processing of emotions or consolidation of memories. Some researchers suggest that the bizarre quality of dreams may also help us distinguish them from real memories. If dreams were perfectly realistic, we might confuse them with actual experiences. The strangeness serves as a tag. This is simulation, not reality. Nightmares, frightening dreams that can wake the sleeper, may represent the threat simulation function gone into overdrive. People with anxiety disorders or post-traumatic stress disorder often experience frequent nightmares related to their fears or traumas. These nightmares might reflect the brain's attempts to process threatening information, but in a way that's unsuccessful or even counterproductive. Rather than reducing fear, repeated nightmares can reinforce it. Understanding the evolutionary functions of dreaming can help contextualize these experiences. Dreams aren't random noise. They're the brain's way of working through challenges, and when that process goes awry, interventions that support healthy sleep and dream function can help. Lucid dreaming awareness within dreams that you're dreaming has been documented across cultures and confirmed scientifically. During lucid dreams, the prefrontal cortex becomes more active than in normal REM sleep. Though the person remains asleep, lucid dreamers can sometimes control their dreams, choosing what to do or where to go within the dream landscape. This has been used therapeutically for nightmare treatment. Individuals learn to recognize when they're dreaming and change the dream's course. It's unclear whether lucid dreaming provided any evolutionary advantage. It might simply be a byproduct of variation in how different brains regulate REM sleep. However, some researchers speculate that lucid dreaming could support problem solving or creativity. By consciously exploring dream scenarios, individuals might gain insights not available during normal waking thought or non-lucid dreaming. Sleep and creativity are connected. Many people report their best ideas coming after a good night's sleep or even during dreams. There's even a name for this: hypnagogia. The transitional state between waking and sleeping is particularly associated with creative insights. Thomas Edison famously used this state deliberately. He would hold a ball bearing while dozing in a chair. As he drifted towards sleep, his grip would relax, the ball would drop and clang loudly on a metal plate, waking him. He'd then record any insights that arose in that liminal state. REM sleep may facilitate creativity by allowing novel connections between disparate pieces of information. The reduced logical constraints and increased associative thinking might let the mind explore possibilities that waking consciousness would dismiss. Studies support this. People perform better on tasks requiring creative thinking after REM sleep compared to slow-wave sleep or simple waking rest. For our ancestors, this creative capacity could have been valuable. Solving novel problems, how to hunt a new prey species, how to find water during drought, how to improve tool designs required innovative thinking. Individuals whose sleep supported creativity might have been more successful at these challenges, contributing to the evolution of human sleep patterns that include substantial REM sleep. One of the deepest questions in sleep research is, why do we lose consciousness? It might seem obvious that sleep requires unconsciousness, but from an evolutionary standpoint, it's puzzling. An animal could potentially gain the restorative benefits of sleep while remaining partially aware of its environment, able to respond quickly to threats. Some animals do this. Dolphins and some birds sleep with one hemisphere of the brain at a time, allowing them to remain partially alert. Why do humans lose consciousness so completely during sleep? One answer may be that the brain processes that require sleep, memory, consolidation, synaptic homeostasis, emotional regulation, work better without competing with conscious awareness. The brain has limited resources, and splitting them between sleep functions and environmental monitoring might reduce efficiency. Another possibility is that full unconsciousness allows the brain to run simulations dreams without confusing them with reality. If you remained aware of your physical surroundings while dreaming, distinguishing real from imagined could become problematic. Finally, perhaps consciousness itself is metabolically expensive. Maintaining aware, directed attention requires substantial neural activity. During sleep, shutting down consciousness might free resources for other essential processes. Whatever the reason, the evolution of consciousness and the evolution of sleep are intertwined. They likely influenced each other, each constraining and shaping the other over millions of years. Modern technology has given us unprecedented insight into sleep. Polysomnography, simultaneous recording of brain waves, eye movements, muscle tone, heart rate, and breathing, allows researchers to observe sleep in detail. Brain imaging technologies like fMRI and PET scans let scientists see which brain regions are active during different sleep stages. Genetic studies reveal the molecular mechanisms that regulate circadian rhythms. This knowledge confirms what evolution has always known. Sleep is not merely absence of waking. It's an active, orchestrated process involving precisely coordinated changes across the brain and body. During slow-wave sleep, the thalamus, which normally relays sensory information to the cortex, reduces its activity, effectively filtering out sensory input. This is why you don't hear minor noises or feel small movements during deep sleep. The hippocampus, crucial for memory formation, replays the day's experiences during slow-wave sleep. Specific patterns of neural activity that occurred during waking are reactivated, helping transfer information from short-term to long-term memory. The amygdala, which processes emotions, shows altered activity during REM sleep. It's highly active, but its connections to the prefrontal cortex are modified. This might explain why dreams are emotionally intense but often lack the rational assessment that would normally temper strong emotions. The more we learn, the more we appreciate the elegance of sleep's design. It's not a design created by conscious engineering, but one shaped by countless generations of natural selection, each small improvement in sleep regulation providing survival and reproductive advantages. Parenting and sleep have a complicated relationship throughout human evolution. Human infants are born exceptionally helpless compared to other mammals. They can't walk, can't feed themselves, can't even hold their heads up. This extended helplessness requires intensive parental care, and because human infants don't sleep through the night for many months, parental sleep is frequently disrupted. From an evolutionary perspective, this creates challenges. Sleep-deprived parents are less alert, less patient, less able to respond effectively to threats. Yet the intensive care that disrupts parental sleep is necessary for infant survival. Human evolution addressed this through several mechanisms. First, parental care is often shared. Mothers receive help from fathers, grandparents, other relatives, and community members. This social support allows sleep in shifts. Someone is always available to care for the infant while others rest. Second, humans show remarkable resilience to short-term sleep deprivation when caring for infants. Parents can function on fragmented sleep in ways that would be debilitating in other contexts. This adaptation likely reflects strong selective pressure. Infants who received attentive care despite disrupting parental sleep were more likely to survive. Third, infant sleep patterns gradually mature. By 6 months, many infants sleep for longer stretches at night. By a year, most sleep through the night at least sometimes. This maturation timeline may reflect a balance between the infant's developmental needs and the parent's need for consolidated sleep. Cultural practices around infant sleep vary widely. In some societies, infants co-sleep with parents and nurse frequently through the night. In others, infants sleep separately and are encouraged toward independent sleep early on. Neither approach is inherently superior from an evolutionary standpoint. Humans evolved as flexible, culturally adaptable creatures. Different environments and social structures favor different parenting strategies, including different approaches to infant sleep. What does seem universal is the recognition that caring for infants disrupts sleep and that social support systems help mitigate this challenge. Exercise and sleep interact in complex ways. Physical activity promotes sleep. People who exercise regularly generally sleep better than sedentary individuals. Exercise may enhance slow-wave sleep, increase sleep duration, and reduce time needed to fall asleep. For our ancestors, this connection between activity and sleep was automatic. Daily life involves substantial physical exertion. Walking long distances, digging roots, hunting, processing food, building shelters. By evening, the body was physically tired, ready for rest. Modern sedentary lifestyles disrupt this pattern. Someone who sits at a desk all day may not feel physically tired at bedtime despite being mentally exhausted. The body hasn't received the signals that normally come from prolonged physical activity. This mismatch can impair sleep quality. The body is designed to sleep after activity, but if activity is minimal, sleep drive may be reduced. Adding physical activity, particularly earlier in the day, can help realign this pattern. It doesn't need to be intense exercise. Even regular walking can promote better sleep, especially if done outdoors where light exposure also helps regulate circadian rhythms. Timing matters too. Vigorous exercise close to bedtime can be stimulating, raising body temperature and heart rate in ways that make falling asleep more difficult. Ancestral humans probably didn't engage in intense physical activity right before sleep. Evening was for socializing, eating, and winding down. Aligning modern exercise patterns with these natural rhythms, active during the day, relaxed in the evening, supports better sleep. Diet affects sleep in multiple ways. The timing of meals influences circadian rhythms. Eating sends signals that help set the body's internal clock. Regular meal times can therefore support regular sleep times. Certain nutrients affect sleep quality. Tryptophan, an amino acid found in many protein sources, is a precursor to serotonin and melatonin. Some studies suggest that tryptophan-rich foods consumed in the evening may promote sleep, though the effects are modest. Caffeine, as mentioned, blocks adenosine receptors and delays sleep. Its effects can last 6 hours or more, so consuming caffeine in the afternoon or evening can impair nighttime sleep. Alcohol initially acts as a sedative, but disrupts sleep architecture. It suppresses REM sleep early in the night, and as it's metabolized, REM rebounds, often with vivid dreams or nightmares. Sleep becomes fragmented. People may fall asleep quickly after drinking, but wake frequently and feel unrefreshed in the morning. Large, heavy meals close to bedtime can cause discomfort that impairs sleep. Lying down with a full stomach can trigger acid reflux, and the digestive process itself requires energy and activity that may not be compatible with deep sleep. Our ancestors likely ate their largest meal earlier in the evening, then had several hours before sleep. They didn't have constant access to snacks or late-night eating. Their circadian rhythms and digestive systems were synchronized with this pattern. Modern eating habits, late dinners, evening snacking, caffeine consumption throughout the day can disrupt sleep. Returning to patterns closer to ancestral norms, eating earlier, avoiding caffeine after midday, not eating heavily before bed often improves sleep quality. Temperature regulation is crucial for sleep. Body temperature naturally drops in the evening as part of the circadian rhythm. This cooling signals the brain that it's time to sleep. The ideal bedroom temperature for sleep is relatively cool, around 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. This allows the body's temperature to drop as needed without triggering shivering or discomfort. Our ancestors slept in environments where temperature varied naturally. Nighttime temperatures were typically cooler than daytime, providing a natural signal for sleep. Fires provided warmth but gradually died down overnight, allowing temperatures to fall. Modern climate control can disrupt this signal. Keeping indoor temperatures constant doesn't allow the natural drop that facilitates sleep. Sleeping in too warm environments impairs sleep quality, particularly slow-wave sleep. Hands and feet play a special role in temperature regulation for sleep. When it's time to sleep, blood vessels in the extremities dilate, allowing heat to escape. This is why people often stick their feet out from under the covers. It helps cool the core body temperature. Warming the hands and feet can actually promote sleep by facilitating this heat loss. A warm bath before bed has a similar effect. It raises surface temperature, and as you cool down afterward, sleep is promoted. This is an example of how understanding the physiology shaped by evolution can inform practical sleep strategies. Our bodies expect certain conditions for sleep, and recreating those conditions, or at least not interfering with them, supports better rest. The relationship between sleep and memory extends beyond simple consolidation. Different types of memories benefit from different sleep stages in specific ways. Declarative memories, facts, and information, things you can consciously recall, benefit primarily from slow-wave sleep. During deep sleep, the hippocampus replays experiences from the day, transferring them to the cortex for long-term storage. This process doesn't just preserve memories, it reorganizes them, integrating new information with existing knowledge, extracting patterns and rules, even transforming episodic memories, specific events, into semantic memories, general knowledge. Procedural memories, skills, and habits, things you know how to do but can't easily put into words, benefit more from REM sleep. Learning to play an instrument, mastering a sport, even getting better at a video game, all show improvement after REM-rich sleep. This division of labor between sleep stages may reflect different evolutionary pressures. Declarative memory, remembering where food sources are, who is trustworthy, what plants are poisonous, requires integration with existing knowledge. Slow-wave sleep, with its coordinated neural activity across widespread brain regions, facilitates these connections. Procedural memory, how to make a tool, how to track prey, how to climb efficiently, requires refinement of motor sequences and perceptual skills. REM sleep, with its activation of motor and sensory systems while the body remains paralyzed, allows practice without the costs or risks of actual movement. Together, these two sleep stages provide a comprehensive memory consolidation system, preserving both what we know and what we can do. Emotional memories receive special processing during sleep. The amygdala, which tags experiences with emotional significance, remains active during REM sleep, but its communication with the prefrontal cortex is altered. This may allow emotional memories to be consolidated while their emotional intensity is reduced. You remember what happened, but it doesn't evoke the same visceral response. This emotional distance can be adaptive, allowing you to learn from negative experiences without being paralyzed by them. Trauma can disrupt this process. In post-traumatic stress disorder, the emotional intensity of memories may not decrease properly during sleep. Instead, nightmares replay traumatic events with full emotional force, potentially reinforcing the trauma rather than processing it. Understanding these mechanisms has led to new therapeutic approaches. Image rehearsal therapy teaches people to reimagine their nightmares while awake, creating alternative endings. When these modified versions are rehearsed before sleep, they may replace the original nightmare content. This works with the brain's memory consolidation processes rather than against them, using sleep's natural functions to promote healing. The role of sleep in decision-making is increasingly recognized. Sleep deprivation impairs judgment, increases risk-taking, and reduces the ability to assess consequences. Part of this may relate to the prefrontal cortex, which is particularly vulnerable to sleep loss. This brain region handles executive functions, planning, impulse control, considering long-term outcomes. After sleep deprivation, prefrontal activity decreases while emotional and reward centers become more active. The result is decision-making that prioritizes immediate rewards over long-term benefits, that responds more to emotion than reason. For our ancestors, this could have been dangerous. A sleep-deprived hunter might take unnecessary risks. A sleep-deprived leader might make poor decisions affecting the whole group. Groups that prioritized adequate sleep and protected members' ability to rest might have had advantages over groups that didn't. This could have contributed to the evolution of social norms around sleep and the development of practices ensuring that important decisions weren't made by sleep-deprived individuals. Sleep and physical performance are closely linked. Athletes who sleep well perform better. Reaction times are faster. Accuracy improves. Endurance increases. Conversely, sleep deprivation impairs motor control, slows reactions, and reduces physical capacity. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Physical performance often determines survival. The ability to run from predators, chase prey, fight when necessary, or simply maintain activity throughout the day all depended on being well rested. Sleep also facilitates physical recovery. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released, promoting tissue repair and muscle building. Blood flow to muscles increases, protein synthesis accelerates. For our ancestors who likely experienced minor injuries, regularly scrapes, bruises, muscle strains from physical activity, this nightly repair process was essential. Without adequate sleep, injuries would heal more slowly, potentially becoming infected or limiting mobility. Modern athletes intuitively understand this. Elite performers prioritize sleep, recognizing it as crucial for training and competition. They're applying the same principle that shaped human evolution. Adequate sleep enhances physical capacity. The development of sleep across the human lifespan follows a predictable trajectory shaped by developmental needs. Fetuses in the womb show sleep-like states as early as 28 weeks gestation. Brain activity patterns resemble REM and non-REM sleep, though the distinction isn't as clear as in adults. This prenatal sleep may support the rapid brain development occurring before birth. The fetal brain is forming millions of neurons per day, creating connections, pruning unnecessary pathways. Sleep-like states may facilitate these processes. After birth, newborns spend about 16 to 18 hours per day sleeping, with roughly half in REM sleep. This high proportion of REM likely supports continued brain development. The infant brain is building itself based on sensory input. Experiences during waking, seeing faces, hearing voices, feeling touch create neural patterns. During REM sleep, these patterns are rehearsed and consolidated. As children grow, sleep patterns shift. Total sleep time decreases gradually. The proportion of REM sleep declines. By age 2, REM comprises about 25–30% of sleep, closer to adult levels. School-age children need about 9 to 11 hours of sleep per night. Their brains are still developing, learning at rapid rates, forming social bonds, and developing emotional regulation. Sleep supports all these processes. Adolescence brings dramatic changes. Puberty triggers a shift in circadian rhythms, making teenagers naturally inclined to stay up late and sleep late. This shift may have evolutionary roots in changing social roles as children become adults. However, school start times typically don't accommodate this biological shift. Teenagers forced to wake early for school are chronically sleep deprived, which can affect academic performance, emotional regulation, and even risk of depression. Some school districts have experimented with later start times for high schools. Results consistently show benefits. Students sleep more, feel better, perform better academically, and have fewer car accidents. This is another example of aligning social practices with evolved biology. When we work with natural sleep patterns rather than against them, outcomes improve. Dreams have inspired art, literature, and spirituality throughout human history. The strange, symbolic, emotionally intense quality of dreams seems to tap into something fundamental about human consciousness. Carl Jung proposed that dreams express universal archetypes, patterns of thought and emotion shared across humanity. These archetypes might reflect common evolutionary challenges and experiences. The hero's journey, the wise old person, the shadow self. These recurring dream themes and mythological patterns may represent cognitive structures shaped by our evolutionary past. Whether or not Jung's specific theories are correct, dreams do seem to reflect common human concerns. Themes of being chased, falling, being unprepared, losing teeth, flying, these appear across cultures. They may represent threats and desires relevant to survival and reproduction throughout human evolution. Sigmund Freud famously proposed that dreams represent wish fulfillment, particularly of unconscious desires. Modern neuroscience doesn't strongly support this view, but Freud was right that dreams often reflect emotional concerns. Contemporary dream research suggests that dreams help process emotional experiences, particularly negative ones. The brain during REM sleep reactivates emotional memories, but in a context that may allow new perspectives. You might dream about a recent conflict, but the dream transforms it. You're arguing with a childhood friend instead of your boss, or the setting shifts to your old school. These transformations might help you process the emotional core of the experience while gaining distance from specifics. This could be adaptive. Processing emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them, learning from negative experiences without being paralyzed by fear, finding creative solutions to social problems. All these would benefit our ancestors just as they benefit us today. Some cultures have developed elaborate practices around dreaming. The Sonoy people of Malaysia traditionally discuss dreams each morning, using them to guide social interactions and conflict resolution. Aboriginal Australians view dreams as access to the dream time, a spiritual dimension where ancestors exist and where the physical world originates. These cultural practices recognize something that science is now confirming. Dreams are meaningful, they connect to waking life, and they can provide insight. Whether dreams carry literal messages from the spiritual realm is a question science cannot answer, but that dreams reflect our deepest concerns, help process difficult emotions, and sometimes offer creative solutions to problems. These are well supported by research. The evolution of human sleep cannot be separated from the evolution of human consciousness. These two aspects of mental life develop together, each shaping the other. Consciousness, awareness of self and environment, the subjective experience of being is one of the great mysteries in neuroscience. How does electrical activity in neurons give rise to the felt experience of seeing red, feeling pain, or understanding a joke? We don't know, but we do know that consciousness fluctuates with sleep. During waking, consciousness is directed outward, focused on the environment. During slow-wave sleep, it fades, sometimes disappearing entirely. During REM sleep, it turns inward, creating the hallucinated world of dreams. This suggests that consciousness is not a simple on-off phenomenon, but a complex state that can take different forms. And sleep may be essential for maintaining healthy waking consciousness. Studies of sleep deprivation show that without sleep, consciousness becomes impaired. Attention wanders. Perception becomes unreliable. Hallucinations can occur. Thinking becomes confused. Eventually, consciousness itself fragments. Perhaps sleep allows the brain systems that generate consciousness to rest and reset. Or perhaps consciousness itself is metabolically expensive, and sleep provides a respite. Whatever the mechanism, the tight link between sleep and consciousness suggests they evolved together. As human brains became capable of richer, more complex conscious experience, they also required more or better sleep to maintain that capacity. Migration patterns of early humans tell us something about sleep adaptability. When humans left Africa and spread across the world, they encountered environments vastly different from those in which they evolved. Arctic regions with months of continuous daylight or darkness, tropical islands with different temperature ranges, high-altitude environments with thin air, coastal areas with tides dictating activity patterns. In each environment, humans adapted culturally, if not biologically. They developed practices, technologies, and social structures that allowed survival despite the challenges. Sleep patterns adapted too. In the Arctic, traditional Inuit cultures adjusted activity to the extreme light cycles. During summer's constant daylight, sleep became more flexible, with naps supplementing shorter nighttime sleep. During winter's darkness, sleep extended, conserving energy when food was scarce. Island populations develop different relationships with sleep based on subsistence strategies. Fishing cultures might have sleep patterns synchronized with tides. Agricultural societies align sleep with crop cycles and seasons. This flexibility, the ability to adjust sleep patterns to local conditions while maintaining core sleep functions, may be one of humanity's key adaptations. We're not locked into a single sleep pattern like some species are. Instead, we have a range of sleep possibilities, constrained by biology but flexible within those constraints. This flexibility allowed humans to colonize nearly every terrestrial environment on Earth. Where other species would be limited by their fixed sleep requirements, humans could adapt. The same flexibility creates challenges in modern environments. With no natural constraints, artificial light allows activity anytime. Climate control eliminates temperature signals. Food is available 24/7. Many people drift into irregular sleep patterns that don't serve them well. The challenge is using our flexibility wisely, creating structure that supports good sleep rather than defaulting to patterns that undermine it. The concept of sleep debt, accumulated insufficient sleep over time, is important for understanding sleep behavior. Sleep is not like nutrition, where you can make up for yesterday's missed meal with extra food today. Sleep debt accumulates. If you sleep 6 hours per night when you need 8, you build a debt of 2 hours per day. After a week, you're 14 hours behind. You can partially repay this debt by sleeping longer on weekends or when possible. But recovery isn't complete. Some effects of chronic sleep deprivation persist even after extended recovery sleep. For our ancestors, sleep debt was probably less common. Without artificial light or demanding work schedules, sleep naturally aligned with darkness. There were occasions of sleep loss, caring for sick children, nighttime threats, travel, but chronic, long-term sleep deprivation was likely rare. Modern life makes sleep debt common. People routinely shortchange sleep for work, entertainment, or social obligations. They accept chronic fatigue as normal. This is a mismatch between evolved biology and contemporary life. Our bodies expect adequate sleep regularly. When we don't provide it, function declines across multiple domains: cognition, mood, physical health, immune function. Recognizing sleep debt and prioritizing sleep repayment rather than pushing through fatigue with caffeine and willpower works with our evolutionary heritage. The microbiome, trillions of bacteria living in our bodies, particularly in the gut, has emerged as a factor in sleep regulation. Gut bacteria influence production of neurotransmitters and hormones involved in sleep. The relationship is bidirectional. Sleep affects the microbiome, and the microbiome affects sleep. Disrupted sleep alters gut bacterial composition. Altered gut bacteria can impair sleep quality. This connection makes evolutionary sense. Gut bacteria and their hosts have co-evolved for millions of years. Bacteria that promoted behaviors benefiting their host, including adequate sleep, would be more likely to be transmitted to offspring. Diet, which influences gut bacterial composition, thus indirectly affects sleep. Diverse, fiber-rich diets that support healthy gut bacteria may also support better sleep. This is another example of how humans exist within complex webs of biological relationships. We're not isolated organisms, but ecosystems, and sleep is influenced by the health of the entire system. Pain and sleep interact in frustrating ways. Pain disrupts sleep, making it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep. But sleep deprivation also increases pain sensitivity, lowering pain tolerance and intensifying pain perception. This creates a vicious cycle. Pain prevents sleep, which increases pain, which further prevents sleep. For our ancestors, this presented challenges. An injured or ill individual needed sleep for healing but might struggle to sleep due to pain. Social support, protection from threats, comfortable sleeping arrangements, possibly even plant-based pain remedies would help break the cycle. Modern medicine offers more powerful pain control, but the fundamental challenge remains. Addressing sleep problems in people with chronic pain requires attending to both issues simultaneously. Interestingly, some pain management techniques borrowed from traditional practices, meditation, controlled breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, promote both pain relief and sleep. These may work by activating parasympathetic nervous system responses that calm the body and mind. The military significance of sleep has been recognized throughout history. Sleep-deprived soldiers perform poorly, make mistakes, and are more vulnerable to enemy action. Yet military operations often require extended periods of wakefulness. Various militaries have researched sleep science, seeking ways to maintain performance despite minimal sleep. Stimulants like amphetamines have been used to keep soldiers alert. Strategic napping protocols have been developed to maximize recovery during brief rest periods. Some research has focused on reducing sleep need itself, finding ways to get the benefits of sleep in less time. While interesting scientifically, these efforts face biological limitations. Sleep serves multiple essential functions, and shortcuts have costs. Perhaps the most important military insight into sleep is that it cannot be ignored. Commanders who ensure their troops get adequate rest have significant advantages over those who don't. This ancient wisdom, recognized by generals throughout history, reflects our evolutionary biology. Sleep is not optional for humans, regardless of circumstances. Seasonal variations in sleep have been documented across many populations. People tend to sleep slightly longer in winter than summer, likely responding to longer nights and less daylight. This seasonal pattern may reflect ancestral adaptations to resource availability. Winter in many environments meant reduced food availability and lower temperatures. Sleeping more conserved energy. Summer offered longer days for foraging and social activities. Sleeping less allowed maximum use of favorable conditions. Modern industrial societies often override these seasonal patterns through artificial lighting and climate control. Work schedules remain constant year-round, but the underlying biology may still pull towards seasonal variation. Some people experience seasonal affective disorder depression that recurs during winter months. This may represent an exaggeration of normal seasonal responses. Reduced daylight disrupts circadian rhythms and mood. Treatment with bright light therapy, exposure to intense artificial light, particularly in the morning, can alleviate symptoms. This works by providing the light signal that winter's short days don't supply, helping maintain normal circadian function. Understanding seasonal effects on sleep and mood can help people adjust expectations and practices. Needing more sleep in winter isn't laziness, it's biology. The role of sleep in social cognition deserves attention. Social relationships are central to human life. We evolved in groups, and our cognitive abilities reflect this social environment. Sleep supports social cognition in multiple ways. It helps consolidate memories of social interactions, allowing us to learn from experience. It regulates emotions, helping us respond appropriately to social situations. It maintains cognitive flexibility, allowing us to understand others' perspectives. Sleep deprivation impairs all these functions. Sleep-deprived people are worse at recognizing facial emotions. They're more likely to misinterpret social cues. They show reduced empathy and increased irritability. In ancestral groups, these impairments could be serious. Misreading social situations, responding inappropriately to others' emotions, or becoming unnecessarily irritable could damage relationships and group cohesion. Groups that valued and protected sleep that allowed individuals to rest adequately might have had more harmonious social interactions and better cooperation. Modern research confirms that sleep problems are associated with relationship difficulties. Couples where one or both partners sleep poorly report more conflict and less satisfaction. This isn't surprising from an evolutionary perspective. Sleep supports the cognitive and emotional functions that make relationships work. The development of agriculture, beginning about 10,000 years ago, changed human life dramatically, and it may have changed sleep too. Hunter-gatherers typically have flexible schedules, adjusting activity to immediate needs and opportunities. Agricultural societies require more rigid scheduling. Planting and harvesting follow seasonal calendars. Animals need tending at regular intervals. This may have imposed more structure on sleep schedules. Farmers who woke at consistent times and maintained regular routines might have been more successful than those with irregular patterns. Agriculture also concentrated populations. Villages and eventually cities created new challenges. Noise, light from neighbors' fires, social obligations that extended into evening hours. The quality of sleep may have declined even as its scheduling became more regular. This trade-off, more structured but potentially less restorative sleep, continues in industrial societies. Urbanization further altered sleep. Cities operate around the clock. Noise never completely stops. Light pollution eliminates true darkness. Social and work obligations span all hours. Many sleep problems in modern populations may stem from this mismatch between evolved sleep biology calibrated for small groups in natural environments and urban living conditions. Some solutions involve returning to conditions closer to ancestral norms within the constraints of modern life. Dark, quiet bedrooms, consistent schedules aligned with natural light, social support for healthy sleep practices. The future of sleep remains uncertain. Will technology provide solutions to sleep problems, allowing us to need less sleep or achieve better sleep more easily? Will social changes, revised work schedules, changed attitudes about sleep allow people to prioritize rest? Or will modern trends continue with screens proliferating, schedules fragmenting, and sleep quality declining? From an evolutionary perspective, sleep is unlikely to become optional. Hundreds of millions of years of evolution have woven it deeply into biology. Attempts to eliminate or drastically reduce sleep need would face profound challenges, but we might find better ways to support the sleep we need. Understanding circadian rhythms could lead to personalized lighting that optimizes sleep. Recognizing the importance of social support for sleep could reshape workplace and social policies. The key is working with our evolutionary heritage rather than against it. Sleep is not a design flaw to be engineered away, but an essential feature of human biology. Sleep and learning in childhood extend beyond simple memory consolidation. Children who sleep well show better academic performance, more creativity, enhanced problem-solving abilities, and improved emotional regulation. The developing brain requires substantial sleep to support its rapid growth and learning. Each day, children encounter countless new experiences, new words, concepts, social situations, motor skills. Sleep helps organize and integrate all this information. During childhood sleep, the brain strengthens connections used during the day and prunes connections that weren't used. This sculpting process, called synaptic homeostasis, prevents the brain from becoming overwhelmed with too many connections while preserving important ones. Children with sleep problems often show behavioral difficulties, hyperactivity, impulsivity, emotional outbursts. These behaviors can resemble ADHD symptoms, and indeed, some children diagnosed with ADHD may actually have sleep disorders. From an evolutionary perspective, childhood sleep serves a critical function, transforming helpless infants into capable adults. Every generation must learn the knowledge and skills needed for survival. Sleep facilitates this transmission of culture and capability. Parents and communities that prioritize children's sleep, creating safe sleeping environments, respecting sleep needs, maintaining consistent routines, would raise more capable offspring. This may explain the universality of lullabies across human cultures. Singing to children at bedtime appears in nearly every society. These songs may serve multiple functions: calming the child, signaling that it's safe to sleep, strengthening parent-child bonds. Music itself may have connections to sleep. Many people find certain types of music, slow tempo, regular rhythm, gentle melodies, conducive to sleep. This might relate to how auditory processing in the brain interacts with sleep regulation systems. White noise and similar sounds can also promote sleep by masking disruptive noises. For ancestral humans sleeping outdoors, environmental sounds, wind, rain, distant water provided constant background noise that masked sudden changes, complete silence, which might indicate that all life in the area had suddenly become still due to a predator's approach, could actually be more alarming than consistent background sound. Modern sleep sound machines often feature nature sounds, rain, ocean waves, rustling leaves. These may work because they mimic the acoustic environments in which human sleep evolved. The relationship between breathing and sleep is intimate. Sleep changes breathing patterns, and breathing disorders disrupt sleep. During waking, breathing is partly under conscious control. You can choose to breathe faster or slower, deeper or shallower. During sleep, breathing becomes automatic, controlled entirely by brainstem centers. In slow-wave sleep, breathing becomes regular and deep. Respiratory rate slows. This reflects the overall metabolic slowdown and reduced consciousness. In REM sleep, breathing becomes irregular, sometimes rapid and shallow. This reflects the high brain activity and may relate to dream content. Sleep apnea, repeated pauses in breathing during sleep, is a common disorder with serious health consequences. During apneic episodes, oxygen levels drop. The brain partially wakes to restore breathing, then sleep resumes. This cycle can repeat hundreds of times per night. The person may not remember waking but experiences fragmented, non-restorative sleep over time. This can lead to cardiovascular problems, cognitive impairment, and mood disorders. Anatomical factors contribute to sleep apnea. Narrow airways, large tongues, obesity that creates pressure on airways. But the fundamental issue is that during sleep, muscle tone decreases, allowing airways to collapse. This represents a design challenge in evolution. The same muscle relaxation that prevents acting out dreams and allows deep rest can also compromise breathing. Natural selection settled on a balance that works for most individuals most of the time. Snoring, which affects many people, occurs when turbulent airflow creates vibrations in throat tissues during sleep. While often just an annoyance, heavy snoring can indicate narrowed airways and increased risk of sleep apnea. From an evolutionary perspective, snoring might have been both a problem alerting predators to sleeping humans and a benefit keeping group members aware of each other's locations during sleep. Movement during sleep serves important functions. Most people change position 10 to 30 times per night. These movements prevent sustained pressure on any one body part, promote circulation, and adjust temperature. The ability to move during sleep while remaining asleep, not fully waking with each position change, is a sophisticated achievement. The brain must monitor position and comfort while maintaining sleep. During REM sleep, muscle paralysis prevents movement, except for small twitches. This paralysis is essential. Without it, people would act out their dreams, potentially injuring themselves or bed partners. Restless leg syndrome, an uncomfortable urge to move legs that's worse at night and relieved by movement, significantly impairs sleep for many people. The sensations, often described as creeping, crawling, or aching, make it nearly impossible to lie still long enough to fall asleep. The relationship between sleep and weight regulation has become increasingly clear. Sleep deprivation affects hormones that control hunger and satiety. Leptin, which signals fullness, decreases with insufficient sleep. Ghrelin, which stimulates hunger, increases. The result is increased appetite, particularly for high-calorie foods. Sleep-deprived people consume more calories and gain weight more easily. They also have reduced motivation for physical activity, creating a perfect storm for weight gain. For our ancestors, this relationship might have been adaptive in certain contexts. If food scarcity caused poor sleep, Increasing hunger and conserving energy could promote survival. But in modern environments with abundant food, the same mechanisms promote obesity. People lose sleep due to work schedules or entertainment choices, not food scarcity, but their bodies respond as if facing famine. Understanding this mismatch can inform weight management strategies. Prioritizing sleep isn't just about feeling rested, it's about maintaining healthy metabolic regulation. Meditation and mindfulness practices promote sleep through multiple mechanisms. They activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing physiological arousal. They train attention control, helping quiet racing thoughts. They reduce rumination and worry that often prevent sleep. Various forms of meditation have been practiced for thousands of years across many cultures. Their widespread development suggests they address common human needs, including the need to quiet the mind for rest. Light exposure patterns throughout the day affect nighttime sleep through their effects on circadian rhythms. Morning bright light helps set the circadian clock, promoting wakefulness during the day and sleepiness at the appropriate time at night. Evening light, particularly blue wavelength light emitted by screens, suppresses melatonin production and shifts circadian rhythms later. This makes falling asleep more difficult. Our ancestors received bright, full-spectrum light during the day. Sunlight is far brighter than typical indoor lighting. At night, they had only dim, warm light from fires. Modern indoor lighting provides less bright light during the day than ancestors experienced, but more bright light at night. This compressed range of light exposure can weaken circadian rhythms. Even on cloudy days, outdoor light is substantially brighter than indoor light. Getting outside during the day, particularly morning, provides the strong circadian signal that helps maintain healthy sleep-wake cycles. Social rhythms, regular times for meals, social interaction, and activities also entrain circadian rhythms. Eating meals at consistent times, engaging in social activities on regular schedules, and maintaining routines all provide time cues that support circadian stability. This may explain why retirement or unemployment can disrupt sleep. Without external schedules providing structure, circadian rhythms can become less stable. The development of writing systems, beginning about 5,000 years ago, changed how humans store and transmit information. Before writing, all knowledge had to be memorized and passed down orally. This placed enormous importance on memory, and thus on sleep, which consolidates memories. Individuals with better memory supported by better sleep would be more valuable to their communities as knowledge keepers. Writing externalized memory storage. Important information could be recorded rather than memorized. This may have reduced selective pressure for exceptional memory capacity, but it didn't eliminate the importance of sleep for learning. Even with written records, people still need to learn and remember information. Sleep continues to support these processes. Modern digital technology has further externalized memory. Information is instantly accessible through devices. Some argue this reduces the need for remembering facts. Yet sleep remains important for integrating information, understanding concepts, and developing expertise. Simply having access to information isn't the same as understanding it. Sleep helps transform information into knowledge. The future of sleep remains uncertain in many ways. Will technology provide solutions to sleep problems, allowing us to need less sleep or achieve better sleep more easily? Will social changes, revised work schedules, changed attitudes about sleep allow people to prioritize rest? Or will modern trends continue with screens proliferating, schedules fragmenting, and sleep quality declining? From an evolutionary perspective, sleep is unlikely to become optional. Hundreds of millions of years of evolution have woven it deeply into biology. Attempts to eliminate or drastically reduce sleep need would face profound challenges. But we might find better ways to support the sleep we need. Understanding circadian rhythms could lead to personalized lighting that optimizes sleep. Recognizing the importance of social support for sleep could reshape workplace and social policies. The key is working with our evolutionary heritage rather than against it. Sleep is not a design flaw to be engineered away, but an essential feature of human biology. As we glide now through these final thoughts on sleep's deep history, certain themes emerge. Sleep is ancient, preserved across the tree of life because it serves essential functions. It's active and purposeful, not just absence of waking. Human sleep reflects our evolutionary journey, the two-stage sleep of our mammalian ancestors, the safety concerns of our tree-dwelling primate relatives, the larger brains of our hominin lineage requiring extended maintenance, the social bonds that made sleeping together safer and more comforting, fire's gift of security, allowing deeper sleep, the cultural transmission that sleep supports, consolidating skills and knowledge, the creativity that emerges from dreams, helping solve novel problems. Throughout human history, cultures have developed rituals and practices around sleep. These bedtime routines serve important psychological and physiological functions, signaling to the body and mind that it's time to transition from waking to sleep. In many traditional societies, the day's end involves gathering together, sharing food, telling stories, and gradually winding down activities. These practices create a buffer between the activity of the day and the rest of night. The importance of bedtime routines is particularly evident in children. Parents across cultures develop routines, baths, stories, songs, gentle conversations. These routines provide security and predictability, helping children relax enough to sleep. Adults benefit from routines too, though they often neglect them. The modern habit of working or scrolling through phones right up until trying to sleep doesn't provide the transition period our biology expects. Creating an evening wind-down routine, dimming lights, engaging in calming activities, avoiding screens works with evolved sleep mechanisms rather than against them. The relationship between trust and sleep is profound. You cannot sleep deeply unless you feel safe. This is why people sleep better in familiar environments than strange ones. Why anxiety and worry prevent sleep. Why secure relationships promote better rest. Throughout human evolution, sleeping required trust in two forms: trust in the physical environment and trust in social companions. Physical safety meant sleeping where predators couldn't easily reach, where weather provided adequate shelter, where the ground or sleeping surface was reasonably comfortable. Social safety meant sleeping among people who wouldn't harm you while vulnerable, who would alert you to threats, who had your interests at heart. Both forms of trust remain important today. People sleep poorly in environments they perceive as unsafe: noisy neighborhoods, insecure housing, conflict-ridden homes. People sleep better when they feel secure in their relationships and living situations. This evolutionary perspective explains why addressing sleep problems often requires addressing broader life circumstances. You can't simply tell someone to sleep better if they don't feel safe. The interplay between sleep and stress hormones reveals more about sleep's evolutionary functions. Cortisol, often called the stress hormone, follows a circadian rhythm. It's lowest during early sleep and rises in the early morning hours, helping promote waking. Chronic stress disrupts this pattern. Cortisol levels become elevated at times when they should be low, interfering with sleep. This creates a vicious cycle. Stress prevents sleep. Poor sleep increases stress. For our ancestors, acute stress, a predator threat, a conflict with neighbors would temporarily disrupt sleep, but the stressor would typically resolve relatively quickly, allowing normal sleep to resume. Modern chronic stress, ongoing financial pressures, job insecurity, relationship problems provides no resolution. The stress remains, constantly disrupting sleep and creating long-term health consequences. Evolution didn't prepare us for chronic, unresolvable stress. Our stress response systems evolved for short-term threats, not sustained pressures. Understanding this can help frame sleep problems in context. Someone with insomnia isn't simply failing to sleep, they're experiencing a mismatch between their evolved biology and modern circumstances. The concept of sleep hygiene practices that promote good sleep has gained prominence in sleep medicine. These practices include consistent sleep schedule, comfortable bedroom, appropriate temperature, darkness, and quiet, avoiding stimulants, regular physical activity, managing stress. From an evolutionary perspective, these recommendations work because they recreate conditions similar to those in which human sleep evolved. Consistent schedules align with circadian rhythms. Comfortable, cool, dark, quiet bedrooms approximate ancestral sleeping conditions. Avoiding caffeine and other stimulants allows natural sleep pressure to build. Physical activity during the day mimics ancestral activity levels. Sleep hygiene isn't arbitrary rules, it's guidance for creating conditions our biology expects. The role of expectations about sleep deserves consideration. In modern society, there's often anxiety about sleep itself. People worry about not sleeping enough, count the hours, stress about insomnia. This anxiety about sleep can paradoxically prevent sleep. The stressed, anxious brain doesn't sleep well. Traditional societies generally don't show the same level of anxiety about sleep. People sleep when tired, wake when rested or when needed, and don't obsess over sleep quantity or quality. This doesn't mean they never have sleep problems, but the cultural context is different. Sleep is accepted as a natural process, not something to control or optimize. There's a middle ground between anxiously monitoring sleep and ignoring sleep needs, respecting sleep without obsessing over it, maintaining good practices without rigid rules, seeking help for persistent problems without catastrophizing occasional poor nights. The evolution of human intelligence and sleep are intertwined in ways we're still discovering. Some researchers propose that REM sleep, with its association with dreaming and memory consolidation, played a role in the evolution of human cognitive abilities. The theory suggests that as human ancestors developed more complex social relationships, more sophisticated tool use, and richer cultural traditions, the cognitive demands increased. Enhanced sleep, particularly REM sleep, might have supported these cognitive advances. Individuals whose sleep better supported learning and memory would have advantages in this increasingly complex social and technical environment. Over many generations, this could have created selective pressure for sleep patterns that maximized cognitive benefits: longer total sleep, more REM sleep, better memory consolidation during sleep. This remains speculative, but it highlights how evolution works through complex interactions between different traits. Sleep didn't evolve in isolation, it evolved alongside intelligence, social behavior, tool use, language, and other distinctly human characteristics. The experience of waking naturally, without an alarm, provides insight into circadian rhythms and sleep needs. When allowed to wake naturally, most people wake during a light sleep stage, not from deep sleep or REM. This is because sleep cycles through stages in predictable patterns. Near the end of the night, cycles tend to have more REM and light sleep, less deep sleep. The brain naturally prepares for waking. Alarm clocks override this natural process, potentially jarring people out of deep sleep or REM. This can create grogginess and reduced alertness, sleep inertia. Our ancestors didn't have alarm clocks. They woke when sunlight increased, when temperatures rose, when activity in the camp picked up. This natural waking aligned with their sleep cycles, while modern life often requires scheduled waking. Understanding the benefits of natural waking can inform choices. On days off, allowing natural waking rather than forcing early rising can improve sleep quality and mood. The seasonal variation in daylight that humans encounter at higher latitudes presents challenges our equatorial evolved biology isn't optimized for. Yet humans have colonized regions from the Arctic to Antarctica. This required cultural adaptations, artificial lighting during dark winters, schedules adjusted to seasonal changes, understanding that sleep needs might vary with seasons. Some people experience seasonal affective disorder, where mood drops during winter months. This may represent an exaggeration of normal seasonal responses to reduced light. Treatment with bright light therapy helps maintain normal circadian rhythms despite reduced natural light. The ability to use technology and culture to adapt to environments our biology isn't optimized for is distinctly human. We don't need to evolve biological adaptations to every environment. We can create cultural solutions. This flexibility extended human range across the globe. But it also means we must be thoughtful about creating environments and practices that support our evolved biology, including our need for healthy sleep. The relationship between narrative and sleep, expressed through bedtime stories and dream experiences, may be uniquely human. No other species, as far as we know, tells elaborate stories or reports rich narrative dreams. Stories may have served important functions in human evolution. They transmitted cultural knowledge, taught moral lessons, provided entertainment, strengthened social bonds. Telling stories in the evening, as the day wound down, became a common practice across cultures. These evening stories may have helped transition from waking to sleep. The calm, rhythmic voice of a storyteller, the engaging but not overly stimulating content, the familiar ritual, all promote relaxation and sleep readiness. Dreams, meanwhile, weave narrative from memory fragments and emotional concerns. The dreaming brain creates stories, often bizarre ones, from the material it's processing. This narrative quality of dreams might be a byproduct of the human brain's general tendency to create narrative structure. We're storytelling creatures, and we tell stories even in sleep. Or perhaps the narrative structure serves a function, organizing experiences into comprehensible sequences, rehearsing social scenarios, processing events in ways that make emotional sense. The connection between stories and sleep, both evening tales and dream narratives, highlights how deeply cultural and biological human characteristics intertwine. Language itself may have connections to sleep beyond its role in bedtime stories. The brain regions active during language processing show specific patterns of activity during sleep, suggesting ongoing language-related processing. People learning new languages benefit particularly from sleep, with vocabulary and grammar rules being consolidated during rest. This may reflect the importance of language in human evolution and the brain's prioritization of language processing even during sleep. As our journey through the evolution of sleep begins to wind down, it's worth reflecting on the remarkable sophistication of this nightly process. What appears passive, lying still, unconscious, is actually a symphony of precisely orchestrated neural and physiological events. Brain regions activate and deactivate in specific sequences. Neurotransmitters rise and fall. Body temperature drops and later rises. Hormones are released on precise schedules. All of this happens automatically, governed by ancient biological clocks and sleep regulation systems shaped by hundreds of millions of years of evolution. We didn't design this system. It designed itself through the gradual accumulation of small changes, each preserved because it provided survival or reproductive advantages. The result is a sleep system that, when allowed to function properly, maintains physical health, supports cognitive function, regulates emotions, consolidates memories, and prepares us for each new day. Understanding this evolutionary context can transform how we think about sleep. It's not a luxury or an inconvenience. It's a fundamental biological need, as essential as food or water, woven into the deepest fabric of life. When we struggle with sleep, we're often struggling with mismatches between our evolved biology and modern circumstances. The solutions lie not in fighting our biology, but in understanding and working with it. Create environments that feel safe, establish routines that signal winding down, expose yourself to bright light during the day, darkness at night, stay physically active, maintain social connections, manage stress when possible. Honor your body's need for rest. These aren't complicated solutions, but they're powerful because they align with how we evolved to sleep. Modern life often conflicts with these ancient patterns. Artificial light, irregular schedules, social isolation, chronic stress all interfere with sleep in ways our ancestors never experienced. Yet the solutions often lie in recognizing our evolutionary heritage and working with it rather than against it. Light exposure during the day and darkness at night, regular rhythms of activity and rest, cool, comfortable sleeping environments, social connection, and feelings of safety. Sleep is not optional. It's woven into the fabric of what it means to be human, shaped by millions of years of life, adapting to a spinning planet's rhythm of day and night. And here you are, in this moment, part of that ancient lineage. Your body carries wisdom accumulated across countless generations, knowing how to rest, how to restore, how to prepare for tomorrow. So let yourself trust that wisdom now. Let your thoughts grow soft, let your breathing slow, let your body sink deeper into rest. You are safe, you can let go. Sleep will do what it has done for millions of years, knit you back together, clear away the day's debris, prepare you for what comes next. The story of sleep is the story of life itself. And tonight, you're continuing that story, letting it unfold as it has always unfolded, one breath at a time. Sleep well, and thank you for exploring these ancient mysteries with me tonight. The journey continues in dreams. Rest now.